welcome back to Cryptographics, and in this video we are going to go over the TORUS.win, buy and burn, buy and build, and the fractal to make you understand what these numbers are, what the significance is, where they come from, and so on. So if you've been watching the previous videos, we've talked about deposit amounts in TitanX and ETH for both staking and creating. And if you've been wondering where that TitanX and ETH is going, this is where it comes. So there is a distribution of tokens that goes out into the various smart contracts the moment someone comes into the system and commits ETH or TitanX for staking or creating. Now, if someone creates or stakes, 84% of those funds are sent to the buy and burn smart contract, 8% is sent to the buy and build smart contract, and a quarter of what is sent to the buy and burn is sent to the fractal. Now, if you're wondering, because that doesn't exactly equal 100, there is a small amount, 4.31% of that amount immediately goes to buy and burn TitanX, and 3.69% is sent to an address called Genesis, which is a no expectations address. Now, within the system at the moment, though, there is an initial phase that is happening where the buy and burn is receiving 64%. The buy and build is receiving 28% of the funds. And this is to bolster Torus's liquidity to make it very stable, very user-friendly, and give it longevity as well as that stability we talked about. So what is the buy and burn? Well, it's exactly that. The Ethereum here and the TitanX here are dedicated to buying Torus off the market. Okay, so this means that the Ethereum that's in this balance, once users click the buy and burn button here, whenever they feel like the reward is high enough, then this Ethereum will be routed to buy TitanX first, then it will buy TitanX, and finally buy Torus. When it receives Torus, it goes and it burns it, which means it buys it and then permanently reduces that supply so it can't come back into existence. Now, the same goes for the buy Torus with TitanX, though the ETH step is out of the picture. So this one is a little more simple, where the TitanX gets triggered to go buy Torus. Once the contract receives that Torus, it burns it. And that's really how simple it is. It's a buy and then burn that token contract. And there's two different vaults, one for ETH, one for TitanX. And as you can see, on day 3, we're about almost 10 hours in. The ETH balance is sitting at 20,000, and the TitanX balance is sitting at 100,000, basically, or 98, which for a grand total of 120,000 sitting in this contract in just over 3 days is fantastic. So now what you might be wondering is, what's the buy and build? Because that's next. But what we're going to do is we're going to skip the buy and build for a moment, and we're going to talk about the fractal, because the fractal and the buy and burn are actually interconnected. So the fractal is like a sub-vault of the buy and burn. And essentially a quarter of all the funds that are designated for the buy and burn are stored here for a later date. And that specific date is every 110 days within the protocol here. So this is like a rainy day fund, where if the protocol ever gets low on funds in the buy and burns with the ETH or the TitanX, the fractal is storing it, and it will release it every 110 days to make sure the system always has funding. And right now, there's about another $61,000 in the fractal that on day 110 will be released into the buy and burn. So that brings the total balance for the buy and burn to about $170,000 about 3 days in, which is pretty fantastic. And again, this contract is designed to just buy TitanX and then buy Torus. And then once it buys the Torus, to remove that Torus from supply permanently. And we can see, if we go to the stats page, that there has been a small amount of Torus already burnt, about 232 Torus, which is worth about $1,000. If we come a little lower here to the stats page, we can see that about $1,300 worth of, almost $1,400 worth of Torus has currently been burnt. So let's go back to the burn page. And for those of you that want to interact with the buy and burns, how you can do that is you can simply just go and click this buy and burn button. Now, the thing you got to understand is that this is the reward that you are looking at here if you want to click this button. So right now, this is early on in the system, and because the buy and burn amount itself is quite low. What that means is the incentive is also going to be quite low. So give this time, let this grow, and this can change. Or if you're just feeling benevolent, go ahead and click the button and you'll pay a couple dollars in gas fee. But that is totally up to you. Now, once you've done that, you can even go over to the price chart and you can see that the buy and burn will go and buy that Torus. And then if you go on Etherscan or into the contracts, you can see it burn it as well. So that's a very benevolent action that you or anyone else can do at any point that you want to. But now let's go over to the buy and build. So the buy and build is a new name that you might not recognize. And the buy and build smart contract is dedicated to building up the main liquidity pool perpetually for the Titan X and Torus pair. And this is a very special thing. And again, it's why I designed this protocol to be as stable as it could be. And to have a buy and build is imperative to that. So right now, the buy and build, remember, it gets currently 28% of the Titan X and the ETH that is sent into the system for staking and creating. So currently, there's $11,700, almost $12,000 in ETH, and $84,000 in Titan X sitting in these contracts. So almost $100,000 in this contract as well. So when this contract is called, though, because again, like the buy and burn, you can come in here and you can click the buy and build for the ETH or Titan X whenever the incentive is high enough or just whenever you feel like it. And the way this works is the Titan X is used. Actually, let's start with the ETH. The ETH that is used first buys Titan X, just like the previous or just like the buy and burn. Once it buys Titan X, that Titan X is taken and 50% of that amount buys Torus, and the other 50% that is remaining is placed equally in value because you need both sides of equal value to place in a liquidity pool at full range. It places that in liquidity together, and then the liquidity will grow, is basically grown a little bit. And so that means that this contract will be buying 50% of this in Torus, and it will be depositing the other 50% value into the liquidity pool over time. The same goes with ETH. So again, the buy and burn is a buy contract that goes and ultimately buys Torus and then burns it at the end of it, removing supply forever. The buy and build contract takes this ETH balance, buys Titan X, and then half of that Titan X will buy Torus to then pair it in the liquidity pool. In the buy Torus with Titan X contract, it will just buy Torus with 50% of this call amount, and then it will place both of those into the liquidity pool together. And that's as simple as the buy and burn and the buy and build and the fractal really are. And you don't need to worry about calling this fractal. It will automatically go when creations or stakes are triggered on day 110. So it will just be deposited directly into the buy and burn perpetually. And if you had been paying attention in the previous videos talking about creating and staking, the more participation comes in, the more ETH and Titan X that this system will see. So as this thing matures, as it gets more participation and becomes more well known, and you share your ROIs online for your creations and stakes, the more that these buy and burns and buy and builds are going to fill up and be able to support the system and basically put buy pressure into the chart to build a liquidity pool and to grow the stability and the longevity of the protocol. And that's going to do it for this video. It's nice and simple. Just what is the buy and burn? What is the buy and build? What is the fractal? And the last thing I'm going to show you here is if you want to see the stats of what Torus is doing on all fronts, how much it's got in liquidity, how much is locked in the system, you could add up all these numbers. You could go to Dex Screener, or you could come to TitanX.win or app.titanx.win/stats, and you can see all of that right here. Or you could go to the documentation at the bottom here, and you're going to be able to go to the socials links, and you can see the Dune Analytics dashboard that's going to show you all the stats as well. These are two different ways that you can check on all of this and see exactly how much Titan X has been burnt, how much Torus has been burnt, how much Titan X has been locked, and so on and so forth. But that's all I have for you in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a little more about what the buy and burn and the buy and build is and why it's so important for Torus and how it can have so much impact for it in the long run. So again, all the links to the documentation, the X accounts for Torus, as well as for myself on social media. The white paper and the DApp are all in the description below, as well as the Telegram. And hop in the Telegram because we have basically daily voice chats where we talk about game theory, Torus, the mechanics, whatever you need help with. If you need troubleshooting help, we have a morning call at about 9 a.m. PST, so Pacific Standard Time. Every day it's 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. And I hope to see you there. I hope you join us in the chats because we're getting really excited. There's a lot of cool things happening with Torus. The hype is building online, and I'm really excited to see this thing grow to what I envisioned it to be when I built it. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.